Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
Hello, you're listening to the podcast, so there I was. This is episode 160, Young Guns.
Young Guns!
Yeah. And man, empty guns. They were shooting those guns.
Yeah, the quote was, did you really go through 100,000 rounds of 25 millimeter? 100,000 rounds.
What were you shooting at?
Everything.
Anything that moved. And a lot of things that didn't.
My gosh, what a fantastic episode.
This is
Pisser.
The Marine Corps legend, folks. This is none other than Pisser.
Pisser.
You've heard of him?
From Disco and Pisser.
You've
They were
heard
kind
of Disco talked about him.
That's right.
Vapor talked about him. I don't know if Otto did or not. That was way back on show 3, and I'm too old to remember that.
We might have to have Otto back on to refute some of this shit.
Absolutely.
Pisser
Well,
brought
I think
up
the
last
plan
night.
is we're going to have a bunch of the young guns on. I want to do it together. Well, like you said last night, we'll pull the pin on that grenade and get the F out of the way.
Yeah,
just let them.
pull the pin, drop it in the room, walk away, and watch.
And let those 4 or 5 guys go at it.
It may be,
epic.
we will just have to be there strictly as a moderator.
Yeah.
I
It
mean,
will
really.
be epic. So,
But this is an outstanding episode. We had a hard time coming up with the title. There were so many opportunities.
There were so many good ones. The one that I thought of and then laughed because I'm like, no, it's a little homoerotic. After I pissed on him, he hugged me and said, "I love you, man."
Said no one ever, except for the story last night that you just have to hear to understand it.
It's starting to hurt again already. My ribs are just now recovering 24
Dude, I did. I woke up this morning feeling like I did 1,000 crunches.
Yeah.
It was almost like one of the drill instructor episodes, where you just can't quit laughing. It was like that.
Yeah. It was great stuff. And a true legend of marine aviation. There's a guy with 3,000 hours plus, Harrier time, Hornet time, and the people he knows and the people he touched and the doctrinal improvements that he made to Marine Corps tactical aviation.
Yeah.
And like you said last night, that's all tactical time. I don't think there's another guy in the Marine Corps that has anywhere near the tactical time he's got in both the Hornet and the Aviate.
In one day, he flew one Hornet tactical sortie and 2 Aviate B tactical sorties. Same day.
Yeah.
Flew them both.
And I don't think there's another Marine that's ever done that. I could be wrong. I mean, maybe he said maybe turbo, but yeah.
Well, I'd be curious to find out because that's unique. I mean, he's truly unique. What a great American Marine, and what a great episode.
It absolutely was.
Got a couple thank yous we need to get out there real quick.
We do. First and foremost, speaking of people that are up to hijinks and have lost their judgment, there's Nick Sokoli, who was a tanker new lips, Fig, tanker aircraft commander last month. And he's doing, I wrote him and said, don't forget to pull that down so you don't get tapped again for an extra 200. And he's like, oh no, I'm going to leave that up. So he's going to do it again this month. He's
lost his ever-loving mind, and God bless him. We are so humble.
God bless
Nick,
you.
Thank you.
You help keep these kinds of shows coming, and I think this show is worth every penny.
Oh, buddy.
This is going to be a good one. And then there's Robbie, who helps keep us going. If you want to put more coin in your pocket,
keep it. It's not what you make, it's what you keep. Don't be a moron.
Call Robbie. Robert.Walling at NM. That's NovemberMike.com. But
he's with HSI Wealth Strategies.
HSI Wealth Strategies. Give Robbie a call. He's a true professional at what he does. But we closed the loop on the whole Disco almost killed him story. That's the very opener.
Oh my gosh! And the picture that he provided
is
and the story.
Amazing. So Young Guns will be the lead picture on the podcast, but I think in that first story we'll embed into the podcast so that you see it on your podcast player, the picture of Disco's jet inverted over Pisser's jet. And
unbeknownst to Pisser, he was really close to not flying that airplane back.
No.
Right?
Skipper, about your jets.
Sometimes it's better not knowing.
Right?
Until it's too late.
In this case, it was better not knowing. Holy shit,
Yes.
And then they thought they lost a guy in combat, and
Clance is dead.
Clance is dead. No,
Whoa,
Clance is not dead.
Clance isn't dead.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, that's a great story. Don't ruin it. I don't want to tell you why they thought he was dead, but boy.
Yeah. Some 1v1v1 out of Andrews, and it turns out he's got some high-level connections.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a good one. Near the end of the show, you'll find out who one of his very good friends is.
What do you say we get out of the way?
I think that's the thing to do. Tape your ribs up before you listen to this episode. You've been warned.
Yeah.
Don't sit on the ejection seat handle. Here comes Pisser.
For the love of Pete, don't sit on
the pond at night in the world's smallest cockpit on the tanker through the weather. Oh, and to the tanker crew who did that, thanks a lot. We really appreciated that.
I don't think they did.
I'm just kidding. Wow. No, I'm not. Well, there I was crossing the pond, and you could see that I wasn't exactly fond of all the...
So there I was, over the Sea of Japan, 1990, autopilot on, 2 hands on a camera, Disco's doing a barrel roll. I take a picture. He knocks me off autopilot. I think he's done pretty good. He falls back in trail. We go into Osan. He decides, Pisser, I'm going to shoot straight in. We land. I talk to him in the debrief, or on the ground, and he says, I almost killed us both. He lost all his airspeed, and he did this in the podcast with you guys, and the only thing that saved him from hitting me was rudder, and I sent you guys a picture. You have that picture, and that was the, there I was.
Oh, shit.
Well,
that is... Do we have the picture repeat?
We do, and I believe I've pulled it up. I think Styx is putting that up for us. I gave it to Styx to put up. Yeah,
it's an incredible picture.
It really is. I'll make sure I get it up here too as we begin to talk. But go ahead.
Well, that is truly a so there I was horrifying story, which is kind of how we roll here. Welcome. This is Fig. This is going to be a great show. I'm at my home in Kearney, Missouri, God's country, right outside Kansas City. Where's my co-host?
There you go. I'm also in God's country in New Hampshire. Greetings, everyone. Repeat here. And it is our distinct honor to welcome Pisser. United States Marine Corps Colonel. Stand at attention while we do this show, Fick.
I've been at attention this whole time.
Right on. Welcome, Pisser. Glad to have you. It took a while to get you here, but we're thrilled, man. So,
as am I.
You didn't start off flying a Harrier over the Sea of Japan. What made you look skyward and go, oh, I think I could do that?
Well, I was a Harrier pilot first. Are you talking about before all that?
Yeah.
What brought you into the Marine Corps? I guess
you were born a Harrier pilot.
There you go. Crest of a wave. So my oldest brother went to the Naval Academy. He was an F-14 pilot. And I followed in his path. I went to Navy and graduated. He graduated as an honor graduate, and I graduated in the top 99% of my class. If you do that math, it's not great.
There you go. Right on.
I was in a bit of trouble. Actually, I dove off this wasn't even something I was going to mention, but I got arrested just before graduation. Dove off a pier handcuffed and swam away from the cops, which delayed my graduation.
What?
My hero.
Hold on a second.
This
I wasn't even part of it.
Let's back up. You were handcuffed. You dove off the pier to your to your escape. So, but this was in Annapolis.
Yeah. So I had a graduation party that got a little bit out of hand. Police came. I didn't do anything wrong, but they handcuffed me, and all hell was breaking loose. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to leave. So I hauled ass and dove off the pier and swam away handcuffed with hands behind my back, mind you. I'm a pool rat, so I still do that. So delayed my graduation a bit. Cops really had no reason to break into this party and do what they did. So I a little bit of a trial with a tailgater, and I graduated. Went to TBS like you guys did, and became a pilot.
Oh, that is fucking standing.
Yeah.
We could end the show right here, and we've got a fantastic one. That is awesome.
It doesn't end there. I'm back in Annapolis while I was at TBS, getting a bar fight, get arrested again. Yeah.
Oh man.
So
And then after-
I heard arrested again, but see, you were never charged with anything during
Yeah, I
any
made
of these
colonel, man.
arrests.
I made colonel, and then when I got my wings, I was home in Utah, and these off-duty cops wanted to fight. So I'm like, okay, we'll fight. I put them both in the hospital. Got arrested again, but my dad's a judge and a lawyer here was, and didn't get charged there either.
Better
How
to be
about
lucky
this?
than good.
I never knew. We were dealing with criminal. We were
Oh,
dealing
no
with this
shit,
criminal
man.
element in our.
I mean, a bunch
in our
of us
old-
got, hey, jail or the Marine Corps, but we didn't know that.
Well,
Wow.
when I got arrested that time, I was in OSO, in between flight school and going to the Harrier Rag, and
Yeah.
I went to work, and this captain goes, "You're on the blotter." You never want to hear that. My
Right.
boss in Phoenix wants to know, did you start the fight? Yes, sir. Did you win the fight? Yes, sir. We're done here. That was it. Nothing
counsel.
in my record. My
That'd
dad
be
took care
counsel.
of it. But see, my
So
twin
I don't
brothers,
know if. Oh, go ahead.
my twin brother's 6'4", and we're not identical, and we have different politics. So we grew up fighting every day.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So you're good.
Yeah, I
You
can
got some
fight.
skills.
I'm dirty.
That's the best. Oh shit! So you had a gap between flight school and TBS, or no? You say TBS and flight school? Is that when you did the OSO thing?
Flight school in the Harrier Rag, it was short. It was like I got my wings in September, and we started the Harrier Rag in January, so it was like 2 months, I think.
So where'd you go through jet training? Keithville
I
or
was a Bevo
Beeville?
guy. Bevo
Okay.
guy with Sal.
Oh, Sal. Okay. And
And the guy that-
when did you get your wings?
88.
Wings, 88.
September 88. Now, you probably didn't see this, Fig, but I sent some stuff forward. 30 years in the Marine Corps, 1,100 Harrier hours, 2,200 Hornet hours.
I got it, and I didn't, so I wasn't
Yeah.
aware of your time in the. So that was in the reserves, yeah.
No, it started at Fallon. So when I came back from Somalia, Vapor was the monitor. Vapor had been my roommate, and
Yeah.
he said, hey, there's a set of orders. They wanted to send a Harrier guy to fly the F-18 in Fallon. He goes, so I can nominate you, but I can't pick you. So there were 3 people he nominated, and then it went up to Hawk. Do you guys remember Steve Hawkins? And
Yep.
those guys
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
in the aviation hallway. And
WTI extraordinaire. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Hawk was amazing. Yeah, and he picked me. Then he called me up and gave me the riot act. He's like, Pisser, if you do your fucking dog tag snorting, puking on command, pissing thing in front of the Navy, you're going to fucking, you can't do that. Of course I did.
Of course.
Of course you did.
Yeah,
All right,
well,
well, we got.
All right.
we-
So hold on. I've got the picture. I don't know if Sticks put it up. I do see we are live on several streamers, but
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
There
look,
is-
That's you taking the picture, and that's Disco.
Disco inverted over him at about 15 feet away.
and I'm going to drop a manhole cover on Disco because he said part of the reason he had no airspeed was because he had tanks. Do you guys see any tanks in that picture?
There are no tanks in that picture.
He must have dropped them.
But
Yeah,
it looks like
that's his
doesn't it
bullshit
look
story,
like
and he's stuck with it.
the flaps. It looks like the flaps are moving. Does
Yeah,
he
they
u-
do. He's that slow. He's got flaps pulling him down into you. He's got a lift factor into you.
Good God. So literally, he was out of control.
Yeah. And I got both hands on the camera, and I'm like, oh, he did a nice job. That was well done, But it did knock me off autopilot. Out hold, I guess we had in here.
When he went by you.
Yeah, it was like, oh. I
Yeah.
didn't think anything of it until, he's like, I'm industrated.
Don't get this straight.
I almost killed us.
Fuck. Is that great?
Of course, I went into break. Why not?
Yeah. I mean, well, you had no idea how close you were to death. So,
Feeling good.
Yeah. Fuck. Oh, that's great. All right. So winged in Beeville. Any shenanigans that stick out from your flight school days?
Okay, so I was a finalist for the Blue Angels in '95, and there's a guy on the team named Dino Thompson. I think he was his second time on the team, and
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
you might know him, but I was when I was in 7.6 training 2 years ago. I talked to him, and he goes, Pisser, number one, I voted for you. Number two, I knew about you guys before you ever came out of flight school. He goes, because when I was in Beeville, I was linked up with Sal, and Fod Lorenz, if you know him. We were
Okay.
fucking.
Actually, he was in Kingsville. Go ahead. Keep going. Go ahead. No. He was
an
in
instructor.
Kingsville as an instructor.
Oh yes, yes.
When I showed up to be an instructor, I did a bunch of I did a bunch of IUT flights with him.
Yeah, and that's when he met his wife, Vixen. So
Yes.
So in Beeville, we flew good airplanes, we had good grades, but that's when I was perfecting the art of pisser. But I perfected the art of taking a dog tag chain, break it in half, snort it, toss it out my mouth, put the other end together, snort it, and then I'd puke on command. I'd eat things like eggs, puke on command, eat it, and I'm peeing over everything. It was my own best birth control. I couldn't get laid. These chicks were like, this guy's disgusting. Actually, I had a girlfriend at our tailhook party. She said, if you do that peeing thing, I'm fucking leaving. So I'm peeing over the pool at our hook party for the A4 where I was the top hook. And all I hear is, and she's gone. But so back to the story. Dino Thompson's roommate was the guy that taught us how to bomb. Great guy, I forget his name. He goes, I knew about you guys before you got out of flight school.
Wow.
So, it's probably a good time to talk about the whole pisser thing. If you guys don't mind.
it's you brought it up, man.
Yeah.
So how did we get to pisser?
Let me go out of order. So 24th Mu workups were in Rosie Roads. It is January of 1993. Am I doing that math right? Yeah, January 93. We're on our way to Somalia. It's a work day for the Mu. So you think about a Mu. The grunts hate the pilots, right? And the helo guys hate the jet guys. So here come
Marine Expeditionary Unit.
Here come 10 Harrier pilots with 6 jets. We're doing workups. Nobody likes us, right?
Yeah.
We're the bastard, the family picnic, and we had a work day on the Super Bowl Sunday, and then we all went to the O Club at Rosie Roads. We're all in uniform, flight suits and camis. And this Huey pilot comes up to me with a pitcher of beer and a pitcher of water, and he says, "I don't believe it. You can't piss 20 feet." And I don't know the guy. He's fucking huge. And I said, "Okay." So at halftime, 150 Marine officers go outside. Rosie Roads, O Club, workups for Somalia. Every combat MOS in the Marine Corps is represented except the F-18, the Prowler, and the C-130 with Shadows. Everybody's there. And I tell the guy, you're going to march 20 feet, but you got to stand on the 20-foot line. And so I do. He does. And then I fucking piss on him. And I nail it.
Hold on a second. Was this over the shoulder too, or just
No,
straight?
This was a frontal attack.
Okay.
And the guy went and changed his flight suit. I think we had rooms in the BOQ that night. He came back and gave me a hug. He's like, I love you. And that broke the ice. I mean, there was no issue with aviation, helos.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like we were all, and we had a great deployment. Everybody was friends, but that broke the ice.
Only in the Marine Corps can you piss on somebody and they come back and go, "Man, I love you. I love you, man."
Yeah, I mean,
so
I was going to do. I was, as 150 Marine officers got ready to watch me piss off.
Well, that would have been equally as good, bro. Okay, so where did the call signs
Where did you acquire
start?
this talent?
Yeah, no. Where did the call signs? Where did you get?
Yeah.
I mean,
So
I get.
My good friend Dave South, I'm 99% certain he's the one that finally called me pisser, and it stuck.
That's a good one.
In flight school.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I was peeing over everything, peeing on everybody. I mean, nobody, like when I was at Fallon, guys would fuck with me in the bathroom, and I'd fucking F-pull them into the corner and have like 10 guys fucking diving for cover. I think you, a South Weymouth cat?
322, yeah.
So
you flamed them out, right?
Their shutdown ceremony, they're burning their hog log, and there's all kinds of famous people there, and all of a sudden they started calling for me, because I'd done a Harry cross country. So I start pissing on the hog log, I think that's what they called it, and then I start aiming at the crowd, and there are fucking generals diving for cover.
Oh, that is fucking outstanding.
I was with Turbo.
Oh man.
Okay, I just want to just back up just for a second and just because you went really fast. Dog chain through the nose.
Yeah.
Puke on command. There was and eat it, and then of course there's the the hydraulic phenomenon.
Hydrostic trick.
Yeah. Did I miss anything? Because you weren't really fast. And all these things are actually pretty good party tricks. But
Stupid human tricks. I mean, I watched Disco's presentation. He talked about when all the wives wanted me to piss at a fucking, squatter event. I'm out there.
Over the swing set.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they wanted it. So I was like, okay, fine.
Was there an inadvertent hit in Olongapo? Did I hear right about that? Did you hit yourself in Olongapo?
Probably that happened. I'd call it ode to penis or ode to pissoir. Yeah, I'd fucking go shoulder to shoulder. And sometimes I'd fucking, have a direct strike. When I was first learning, I'd go shoulder to shoulder. Yeah, it was all part of my birth control. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, yeah.
But
man, that's awesome.
It was Subic too, where I did the 15-passenger van. A lot of times the squadron would set me up. Pitcher beer, pitcher water. You got an hour. If I can long ways a passenger van, 15-passenger van. The other squadron buys the drinks for the night.
Yeah,
and that was no problem for me. And everybody be cheering.
Okay,
I pissed out of the cockpit once. When I was in Fallon, I was flying F-18s. I was at Hold Short in the summer, super hot. One of the pictures I have is my Fallon crowd doing it, dining out. And there's a famous guy there named Brian Brewer in the right corner of the picture. But, I was at Hold Short, super hydrate. You're cranking 8Gs in F-18. You want to hydrate. But we had a hold, and I'm leading the flight 4. So I opened the canopy. I'm like, I'm going to pee out of the cockpit. So I did. I arc out of the cockpit, and Brew proceeds to play a joke on me. He's like, because his parents were in town. It's like, my parents were at the base CO's house, and they watched you pee out of your cockpit. And so I saw his parents, and I apologized to them. They had no idea what I was talking about.
Of course, yeah, they don't understand why you're.
Yeah, unstrapped and right there at the Old Short Found out of an F-18.
Is that the picture?
Yeah, so Brian Brewer, the guy in the bottom right. So when I got to Fallon, after the best first tour you could ever possibly have at 542, 3 deployments, 2 combat deployments, I get these orders of Fallon, and that becomes, in its own way, the best tour I ever had. The best people the Navy could put in Fallon. F-18 transition, I'm running the close air support program. But Brian Brewer and I created the FAC-A program for the Navy, and what happened is the Navy was gapping F-14 squadrons. We're pulling them off the cruise cycle and putting Marine squadrons in. So when I went through WTI, I went through with a guy named Walt Reed, the F-41 guy, went through WTI, and then Brew went through WTI. So when he showed up at Fallon, he's like, hey, Pistol, let's create a FAC-A program in the Navy, and let's make it F-14s. Incredible time on station, can carry a shitload of stuff, 2-man crew, mandatory that they go through WTI, and we create this FAC-A program, and that's why I sent you a picture of the book. The book, I've got it somewhere around here. He signed it because we created a FAC-A program that then went forward and guided missiles in Kosovo, guided missiles in Afghanistan. Just, 542 was an incredible first tour.
Sure.
Fallon, you could do whatever you
wanted. The timing was such, it was amazing.
You could do whatever you wanted in Fallon. We had an 18-hour crew day, which is ridiculous. So you could work your ass off and fly your ass off. And a lot of guys chose to just kind of chill, do day dick arounds. But the Marines, Rock Collins, who became general, he wanted the Marines to be sharp. So with 30 hours in the jet and a Cat 4, a 10-hour Cat 4 transition, I was shooting missiles with 100-hour, so I was leading strikes. Fallon was, I was single. I mean, I'd walk out of that building at midnight on a Saturday. It was an incredible experience. Yeah, so that's a FAC-A program in the book on my list.
Hold on a second, Pisser. What is the? Oh, is that? What's that acronym stand for? I'm looking at it. Fallon Strike U NSWAWC. What is that?
So when I first got there, it was Strike University, created by
Right.
Lane, the Secretary of the Navy, after the shitty events of Beirut. And
Yes.
we were actually in Echelon 2 Command, which we reported directly to the CNO, which, a lot of that stuff I can't talk about. But when you're in Echelon 2 Command, man, the money is there, the jets are there, the
So
program.
what is it? Was it like a test and evaluation unit?
More than that? It was very, very operational. So we trained carrier air wings. We were their last
Okay.
touch point before they deployed, but we were also involved in all kinds of other stuff. So, and then Top Gun came to town, and we became the Naval Strike and Air Warfare Center. And
Okay.
I moved into a different building. So my CO, my last year there, was the CO of Top Gun. My last fit rep was written by him. So I was on the air wing training side, and then you had the Top Gun instructors. But I was in the building, so I could go to any lecture I wanted to. I mean, I'd go to a 6-hour APG 65 murder board or a 6-hour 1v1 murder board, and it was right across the hall from where I worked. So interestingly, when I got hired at Andrews to fly F-18s by the reserves, they brought me in thinking I was going to be a project for them. We're going to train a Harrier guy how to fly the F-18.
Yeah, you were teaching them shit.
But they were, really talented group of guys. That squadron was full of, guys who had done both WTI and Top Gun.
Sure.
But they weren't current, So,
I get it.
But I did ACTI there as a reservist to get some credibility.
In the Hornet?
Yeah,
in the Hornet?
Yeah, they give in the Hornet. They would give me shit all the time, about being a Harrier guy. And I just had to go out and prove it in the air. So
that was a good gig, man. I mean, that was a really good tour.
Oh, Fallon was fucking incredible.
It's like the Wild Wild West out there, too.
Yeah, the flying out there is amazing. There's no hands down.
I mean, the sky's the limit at Fallon. You can do whatever you want. I mean, I'd go to the CO and I'd be like, "Hey, I want to go to coast or basically to Italy and recreate the scenario that's going on in the Balkans and create a Scud Hunt day and a Kosovo day." And they were like, "Oh." The money was incredible. You could work as hard as you wanted or as little, maybe not as little. And I just had a blast there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, flying the F-18. I think I rolled out of there with probably 800 hours in the Hornet.
Nice.
That's awesome, dude. All right.
Was Dave Brown there then, and he already left for NASA?
Dave was my first son. He was our doctor. Yeah, good friend of mine. I did a flyby at Arlington. So
you were there. Okay. All right. I was there at the funeral. Dave and I went through Beeville together.
Oh, what a great guy.
So yeah,
I did
he
his
really is a
flyby.
prince.
Yeah, I did his. Were you at the wake afterwards?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so I rolled in there. I rode in there after working all day in a flight suit and got like a standing ovation and said, "Hey, this isn't about me. Thank you for that." We did a good flyby, but we got a little bit of heat for it. But yeah, I came ripping in. I was the flight lead on that.
There was that. For our listeners who don't know Dave, he was on Space Shuttle Columbia when she broke up on reentry. Dave was a great guy. Navy doc. Got his detailer to send him to flight school, so he had pilot wings, doc wings, and probably one of the smartest human beings I've ever met. And when talking to him, you'd never know it. The guy was just so humble. He could mentally run circles around anybody, and he never let anyone know it. So.
But he was humble about it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He just, you'd never know that the guy, he had to have a 160, 170 IQ. The guy was brilliant.
And he would host parties in Fallon, and it was the coolest group of people. I can't say enough about the Fallon crowd. They were incredible. Yeah. Jimbo Lenz is in that picture on the left. Andy Lines is in the back. Big John, 6'7", 300 pounds, was my assistant in the close air support program. So I took over the CAS program, and my predecessors weren't pilots, so they did timing and accuracy, and then I created scenarios and got approval to urban cast in downtown Fallon, Scud hunts. I mean, you could do whatever you want. 542 was an incredible first tour. This second tour, and that's when I was in finals for the Blues, incredible group of people. And the Navy sends all their best people out there. There's sub guys. There's, Dave Brown, Doc Brown, there's all these eclectic people. And then our second CO out there was Admiral Tim. He became a 4-star. And he said his murder board was the most impressive thing he went through because we all murder boarded him.
Can you define murder? Can you define murder board for our non-tactical aviation listeners?
So anytime you give a presentation out there, there's different levels of what they're going to go through. But the ultimate murder board is 60 people on the staff watch you give your presentation, and then they all debrief. And there's even a linguistic guy that does your us per moment. Can't be over 7. Us per moment can't be over 7, or you don't pass. Incorrect. I just did it. It was the coolest group of people.
Hey, I'm going to throw a name at you. He may have been after you left Fallon, but he's been a guest on our program a couple times, and he's a personal friend. He was a former F-14 guy, and then he went to Fallon to work at Top Gun. Chemo Percival.
Vaguely, how old would the guy be?
Well, he's about
he's like
our
19
age
today, isn't he? I mean,
yeah, but he was the nav he was a NavCAD, so he was he got out of
super
college.
junior.
Yeah, he was always super junior, but he's I don't know. So we're 60-ish, right? And I think he's 56.
So I left Fallon in January of '97.
Okay. Well, I think that's, I can't remember exactly, repeat, but that's right about, seems
about
like
time
he
you would've
showed
gotten
up
there,
there
I guess.
somewhere in there. Well, whenever they moved Top Gun to Fallon, it wasn't too long after that he went there.
Yeah, I did a year of that. And, it was like the Troubles in Northern Ireland, merging those two commands. And it was all about the T-shirt. Strike You wore dark green or dark blue. Top Gun wore light blue, and I just went fucking green. I just stopped.
Why not?
I wasn't going to play that game. I just worked, and then I started going to the murder boards, and then they started because at the same time, Tone Constant, who was a Top Gun instructor, was standing up the CAST program for Top Gun, and I helped him. So, I was in the middle of the Troubles.
Well, let's roll back the time. Let's roll back time a little bit and go back to 542. So you guys went from Westpac all the way to Saudi
it was
Arabia.
231.
We actually had about 6 weeks at home. So we got home in June of 90, and Saddam invaded.
I thought it was
August.
That was 542 that did that.
No, it was 231.
No, it was 231.
That was Curly and
Okay.
those guys. Yeah.
Vicious Pack of Lieutenants was in 231.
Yeah.
And they were and by the time they showed up, we'd been there like 6 months, right? And we were welcoming them at their airplanes with near beer, fake beers, and we have no laundry. We're completely, it's like Apocalypse Now. We've got completely native, and these motherfuckers show up, and they are the most unhappy. They're shoving up 2 by 2. They got airplanes all over the world. And
Right.
we're like,
They scattered them everywhere, right?
Base. And by the way, there's a couple pictures of the base. If you could pull it.
Well,
It's King Abdulaziz. It was a soccer stadium.
Right. It had a one runway right next to it, right?
Yeah,
And you guys were
and we're in the parking lot. So you see the stadium is only one-sided. That's where all our spaces were. We're up on the 3rd floor, and then all our tents are in the parking lot.
I'll see if I can get that up real quick.
King Abdulaziz. Garden spot, man.
Garden spot.
And then the
I've
Marine
flown
Corps-
over it.
And that's another story I'll tell you about. But they AM2 matted the shit out of that place.
Okay, you got to tell people what that is.
Yeah, what's aim 2, Matt? What's that?
AM2 matting. So that's like a CAX. They started, I think, in World War II. It's the kind of
There it is.
where they innovate runway stuff. Ting, 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 ting. If you guys have been to CAX,
Yep.
Yeah.
these pictures.
But you got to explain it to our audience who are not pilots, who've never flown, understand what AM2 matting is.
expeditionary runway material. I think they even did it back in, the island hopping campaign in World War II, Okinawa, et cetera. All the islands where we were trying to get closer to Japan. I think it was the early version of that. And we lived in the parking lot. If you see the second picture.
Yeah, I'm pulling that up now.
Guard spot. And I did laundry once. It never came back. So
you mean you sent it off to have it done and it never came back, or you actually
I sent it off. Some corporals are like making grapes in Italy with it. It never came back. So I would shower in my flight suit like once a week. We had jungle boots, gym shorts, flight suits, no t-shirts, dog tags, and we were fucking dirty. And it's funny because so there's two of those. So in the middle of combat operations, our XO, Snatcher Leffler, has an all-pilots meeting. And he's like, I'm sick and tired of hearing you guys talk about brown star loving, snotty end of your, tadpole soup from the snotty end of your love, all this shit. He's like, you guys have got to be classy Marine officers. We're fucking dirty as shit. We're fucking flying combat missions. And we're like, really? Are you serious? And while I'm at it, I'll just bring up the other thing I mentioned. So the Young Guns was everybody from Strut down. Strut,
I've got
Disco.
a picture of that.
Yeah, just incredible group of guys. And Mongoose, who'd flown to Vietnam, he stands up in an all-pilots meeting, and he goes, he's got his glasses on, he's got a piece of paper in front of him, and he's like, you guys shot 100,000 rounds of 25 millimeter last week. What the fuck are you shooting at? And we're like, everything, Skipper. So the Young Guns,
everything.
Because the ROE was anything outside of Kuwait City was fair game. If it had, if it had spectroscopy, it was fair game. Another big word for a Marine. But
wow.
Anything.
Okay, so there's vapor,
turbo,
yeah,
pisser,
Rosie, and Sal.
Oh, Rosie and Sal. Okay,
that's a great picture, man. Young Guns on the CBU.
Well, and that went in, and that was in Soldier of Fortune magazine. There's another version of that, if you can pull it up, where we're all shooting at the cameraman. So the CO stands up. He's like, you shot 100,000 rounds of 25 millimeter last week. What the hell are you shooting at? We're like, everything, Skipper. So our personal
everything
542ism was, we're going to drop our bombs, and then we're going to go. There we go.
Oh, that's badass. That's badass.
And I'm pretty sure that's during combat operations. We're going to drop bombs, and then we're going to find anything we can, and we're going to shoot it. Anything. And
anything.
100,000 rounds in 1 week. I mean, the skipper was just baffled because the old guys would just drop their bombs and come home.
Right.
And speaking of the old guys, so Rosie and I one day, we do a low transition with cluster bombs over the end of the runway, and we don't know Mongoose is in the fuel pits, which is like halfway on the runway. We're going north to drop bombs, and he loses his shit. He wants us separated. But I'm going to go back to, if you were the CO of a squadron, would you put the two junior pilots together?
Never. Not never one time.
And I was telling, to repeat this, I got my division lead qual as a first lieutenant on Thanksgiving Day. So
it's awesome.
All my combat missions were as a 1LT till the day the war ended. I got promoted the next day. So he wanted us separated. So
talk about timing, repeat.
Right.
They separated us for a week, and we had to fly with a bunch of other people. Then we got back together, and then we were, back to our kill. So, I mean, Rosie was unconscious in combat. He was great. Not to pick on Disco too much, but one of my missions was with Disco and positional mutual support. Somebody's got to have eyes in the target area while the other guy's bombing. So, Disco had just got married. He's worried about it. I got so much magic dust, And I'm dropping bombs, and I pickle, beep, and I hear beep, and I look at my right 5, and Disco's in fucking fighter wing on me. So nobody's clear of 6. I'm like, Disco, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, God, I only have so much magic dust. I'm not going to live forever. I got to get home to Cheryl.
Oh, my gosh. So you and Disco were in Time magazine during the war, right?
People magazine.
People. Yeah, they did a big thing on you guys. On you guys. So, but Disco was not one of the young guns. He was
Technically was. It was kind of Strut and down. Strut, Rutledge, and everybody below that. There were, Strut, Disco, Vapor, Sal, Turbo, all those guys.
Okay. That's fantastic.
So does any one thing stick out to you about well, first of all, how many combat missions did you fly in Desert Storm?
I ended up doing 36. The day of the Highway to Hell, I saved all my kneeboard cards, by the way. Day of the Highway to Hell, guys like Strut wouldn't get out of the airplanes, man. They were just having a heyday up there.
They wouldn't get out. Would you expand on that, please?
So we had 2 FOBs up north, Ras Al Mashab, and I can't remember the other ones, and they were just south of Kuwait. So you could land there, rearm, get some food, get some intel, and just go, and it was like a 10-minute flight. So when the Highway to Hell happened, the afternoon launch guys, we all got canceled because those guys weren't going to give that shit up, and they're having a blast. I mean, the most dangerous thing up there on the Highway to Hell were mid-airs.
Yeah, hitting each other.
Yeah.
A-10s.
Hey, Disco, I'm sorry, Pisser, for our listeners that aren't familiar, can you expand on what the Highway to Hell was?
So the Highway to Hell, and I flew over it on a combat mission. So the Highway to Hell was this big mass exodus out of Kuwait City by the Iraqis who were stealing all the shit out of Kuwait City. And so they were like, I don't know, say 5,000 people. Somebody figured out if you bomb the front, then you can just bomb the rest of them. And I flew over it the next morning, and it was like 5 miles of burning vehicles and chaos. I mean, it's cool because we were going to a mission. I think I was with Rosie at that point. And we were doing. You never flying under an overcast, right? We were flying under an overcast, and
sure.
And it's a good story because we're weaving, and we go right over the Highway to Hell, and we're getting a FAK mark on a target with the Republic Guard in southern Iraq, and we mark it. Or he marks it, and we bomb it, and we elevate through the clouds, and there's a flight of 4 coming in right behind us from the ship. And I played this for a while, man, because those guys came in and did the same thing we did, but Dash 4 got shot down and killed. That was Underwood, I think.
Oh, was that Woody's flight? Okay, Lawman and Woody. Yeah,
they're on my tape.
Okay.
They're on my tape checking in.
Oh, wow.
Because you never want to fly under an overcast, and it was like 7,000 over, and they did, and Dash 4 gets clipped. And, Schwarzkopf's like, we have absolute air supremacy, blah, 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 and the war ends 2 hours later. I'm like, he doesn't see the shit that's coming up out of the ground like we do.
Yeah. Right.
I've got a combat tape with those guys checking in.
Wow.
Yeah. So in fact, that was show 25 we did with Lawman, and it's Here's to Woody, the last worst day. That was really moving.
On my tape, you hear them check in, 2, 3, 4, and Rosie and I hit the Republic Guard, go through the clouds, and we're out. But there was all kinds of shit going on. I mean, the Highway to Hell's burning. I mean, that is the wildest thing I've ever seen. It's like being at the Wizard of Oz. And should you be under an overcast? No. So then you get a whole ass, and then we bomb, and then we get out. I played that tape for a while, man, before I left Cherry Point. I think he was flying A4s. Yeah.
Yeah. Was it you or was it Sal that got the 7-4 in Kuwait City?
That must not be me.
Okay. I think it's Sal then. So one of you 542 dudes blew up a 747 at Kuwait International.
I did drop napalm at Kuwait International, and that's on my list here. Rosie and I had a mission, so we all had napalm. We walk out, we're all carrying napalm. We're supposed to destroy the oil well trenches, which you could see from the sky. You knew when you were crossing into Kuwait. And, of course, the DASC gets you, and they send you wherever they're going to send you. So we get sent to Kuwait International, and we are bombing T-72s. I've got it on tape. At Kuwait International with napalm. Napalm in the Harrier, 15 degrees max dive angle, 450 knots, so it doesn't hit the tailplane. Terrible fucking weapon. We put 12 napalm canisters on something like 3 or 4 T-72s, but it's the closest I get to getting shot down. I come off, and Rosie's like AAA left 9, AAA, I reverse, and I actually extended over whatever that water is there. And I think I was at 220 knots at 20,000 feet when I finally got there because I was jinking so hard. But fun to drop
That's
napalm
slow.
on tanks. But super slow. Who got the 747? I don't know.
For some reason, I thought it was you. It might have been Sal. I hear there's gun tape of it. I haven't seen it. But
What? They shot 100,000 rounds at 25 millimeters.
yeah,
so
right.
They
Cut
had
that fucker in half.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So I'm looking at the notes here. Water tower, is that part of
Oh God, that's a funny story. So
napalm mission? That was a napalm mission. Okay, go ahead.
So we're doing a strike. It's 8 airplanes. I think we're each dropping 4 Mark 83. So that's 32,000 pounds bombs, and we're doing it twice.
Mark 83 is a 1,000 pound bomb.
And we're doing it twice. So I'm in the second flight of 4. It goes into what's called a CP. So it's like roughly the U.S. Mall, right? Everything's a CP. It's all these buildings. So I'm in the second flight of 4. When I finally roll in, I think there's a bit of delay. All hell's breaking loose. There's fire burning up to 10,000 feet. The only thing I can see is this water tower. Big water tower. So I lock it up with the ARBs. And I don't know if the ARBs is good with shit that's elevated. So our spacing was, I don't know. I can't remember what our spacing was, but it was like maybe 1,000 feet or something. So I dropped 483s, come off target. Never supposed to look at your target. Look hard over my left shoulder, and I see all this explosions. I mean, the place is on fire, and I'm like, shit, how I got it. And then we come back in the afternoon, and we hit the same target, the same 8 airplanes. So we're up to 64,000 pounds of bombs, and I'm in the same position. So all hell's breaking loose. And fuck, that thing's still there. So I ARBs lock it. Put my bombs off, come off, but there's so much smoke. I mean, I think Vapor was on that. I think Disco was. We were having a blast, man. And all hell breaks loose, and I think I got it. So when the war ends, we go do fan flights in Kuwait, which is weird. And
right,
I go
flying over everything you just bombed the shit out of. That's really weird.
It was like a 3-day break. First of all, the silence was deafening because we were doing 66 sorties a day. In the end, in our squadron, in 542 alone.
Wow.
Holy shit.
Wow.
And I finally made it into Kuwait, and I went over that target, and there's nothing. It's burned to the ground, except that fucking water tower. It's still standing, and there are fucking craters all around it. Yeah,
it had a force field. That thing had a force field.
Right.
Hey, would you define real quick
ARBs?
We know what it is, but will you just define it for our listeners?
Angle rate bombing system. So it's a contrast lock bomber, very accurate. When I went through WTI,
Apparently not.
Yeah, apparently not that accurate, Pisser, because you couldn't hit that fucking water tower.
It doesn't like water tower. Yeah, it's a contrast locker, but it gets confused when things are 200 feet in the air.
Yeah. Okay. There's that. Okay,
Fair enough.
I'll buy that. That's awesome. What a great
I
story.
don't know that it really gets confused, but that thing was still there. And speaking of things that are still there, I sent you a picture of the basketball hoop.
Oh yeah.
What's with the basketball hoop?
Yeah.
What's
Okay,
that?
so I was the junior pilot in the squadron for almost 2 years. So I got the great jobs of being the coffee mess officer and the embark officer. But I could make in Japan, I could make 1,000 yen per picture with the Japanese in a flight suit and helmet. I made money hand over foot, probably completely not appropriate, but I had a lot of money
to do that.
Yeah, I'd make fucking $1,500 a day. I paid for the yearbook. I paid for the lot of, there it is. And I paid for this thing to get built because I was a big basketball guy. So I get it built in Bahrain. And then it's time for us to move from Bahrain to Saudi Arabia. And I'm in charge of it. 50 tandem, or 25 or 50 tandem flatbed trucks, machine guns, 50 cals mounted, helicopter escort. and the basketball hoop is on the first truck. So
Right
I
on.
get it. So I get it to our base in Saudi Arabia, and I've got our name on it. So I'd come out for a combat mission and I'd tell these guys, hey, this is our 542 basketball hoop. You can play, but you got to play us. And we'd kick their ass. So, I mean, it was really entertaining. So fast forward to Somalia in 1993, we had a stint in the Persian Gulf, and I did a slow pass over this base. And the only thing left, that's why I showed the pictures of the base. The only thing left from the Marine Corps presence was the basketball hoop.
No shit.
I shit
No
you not.
shit.
I mean,
that is outstanding.
I go over that base, as slow as you can fly in a Harrier, without putting shit out. And I'm like, oh my God, my basketball hoop.
It survived.
It's
Well,
pretty
it's probably
cool.
still there.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I mean,
great.
Yeah. So there's. All right. So Desert Storm. How about the Clance mission?
Yeah, let's talk about
Yeah.
that.
Do you guys know Dan Claney?
Yep.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
So the guy used to walk around. He was a gymnast in college. He used to walk around on his hands at parties. He'd get a certain level of drinking, and he would just walk around on his hands. That was his thing. Fucking hilarious, dude. So, who does that?
Right?
So first, I'm going to digress. When we were in Bahrain, Clance goes out and gets drunk on white lightning, and he comes back to where we lived in Bahrain. We were living in buildings, and decides to take a shower. Now, Clance is a hairy man. We call him McGilla, and McGilla decides to dump Charlie in the shower. So he puts a Stanley steamer right there, and then he passes out. So here's the hairiest human in a fetal position around a Stanley steamer with the shower still running, and we create a viewing line. There's a line. The F-18 guys are there, the Harrier guys are there, and there's a viewing line to view Clance, who's passed out from white lightning. And he's the hairiest dude. His fucking back's hairy, and he's in a fetal position. I mean, it was classic. So that's Clance. So, okay, let's fast forward to combat. So Clance, we're on an 8-plane strike. First of all, you guys want to absorb that? That's pretty funny, right?
I'm processing that right now.
I'm trying to catch my breath, actually.
No, I'm processing that right now. And by the way, I feel like I've already done 150 crunches.
Exactly.
Thank you, Pisser, for
A
that.
little bit of a core workout here.
Yeah, but there was a viewing line. It was like a funeral. There were like 150 people in line to view Clance wrapped around a Stanley steamer with shower and naked. Hairiest motherfucker, McGilla.
McGilla the gorilla.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
So we're doing a strike. It's an 8-plane strike. If you guys remember back in the day, it was all low altitude. Now we got to come up high altitude. So we're in it's a flight of 8. It's 4 planes in fighter. Every section's in fighter wing, and then it's an offset box. And we're attacking an artillery battalion, their resupply area. So we got to come around the corner of Kuwait and kind of come in from the west, and then we attack those things. So, the Harrier always had the beep. We never did the beep in the F-18, but the tone. So we're dropping 82s or 83s, I remember. So, we're rolling in, man. It's Pappy rolling. You hear all these beeps, beep, 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 beep. Anyway, we come off target and we exit west. It's early in the war, and there's no Clance. Clance is just not there. Nobody can see him. Nobody can find him. Clance is dead. And you got to fly those minimum risk routes back. So it's very quiet, and it's a long, 30-minute journey to get through the MRRs back to get to the initial for our base. And I think Mongoose is on that flight. He's getting ready to start the CSAR event. Clance is dead. Fuck, we turn the final, and all of a sudden we hear on the radio, hey guys, hey, it's Clance. Fucking Clance comes off, because we're not used to these 45-degree dives, and he comes off target and pulls his ComCord out, and then he decides he's got to take a piss. So he's headed west in Saudi Arabia. not to
He's
be
beelining it. He's beelining it back, right?
but he's got he's got the pedal back, and he's like, "Fuck, I can't hear anybody." It takes him a while to figure out. So he starts flying back to the base. Yeah, Clance was alive. I mean, we were like, "Fuck."
Oh man!
I think he was Dash 8, and he was just gone, and we were so bummed.
Clance is dead.
Yeah.
He's dead.
Clance is dead, and
Right.
Clance was not dead. So, yeah, that's the Clance story. Two Clance
So
stories.
that's two Clance stories. Clance is dead twice.
Clance is dead. No, Clance is not dead. That's okay.
Holy
Thank
shit!
you. Thank you for that.
We've been going at this for quite a bit. We're going to do a quick thanks to Robbie. Let me get
Don't be a
that.
moron. Call Robbie.
You heard him. So there I was, staring at my retirement account, thinking, man, I should have talked to Robbie Walling at HSI Wealth Strategies about 20 years ago.
Oh,
I had a budget, a spreadsheet, a dream, but in reality, that's not enough, Fig.
Repeat. I've known Robbie for over a decade, and let me tell you, the guy's as solid as they come. In addition to HSI Wealth Strategies, he's an Air National Guard pilot. He's an aircraft commander in a C-130. He's sharp as a tack, and he gets us. Military and airline pilots aren't your average 9-to-5 crowd, and HSI isn't your average financial group.
Well, exactly. We're smart folks. Just ask us, right? I mean, we know how to plan a flight down to the minute. But planning a 30-year retirement, well, that's a whole different airspace there, man. And HSI knows how to navigate that.
On average, their clients end up with, get this, $1.5 million more than folks going it alone. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because HSI knows strategies that most of us were never taught. It's not about working harder. It's about working smarter. How many times have we heard that over our career, right?
And yet we insist on not doing it so much to ourselves, right? But here's the kicker. Look, right? It's not what you save. It's what you keep. Okay? Right?
Boom.
I mean, think about it. Between taxes and timing and the unexpected, because that never happens, you can lose altitude fast without the right plan. I wish I'd known that when I started out. But
Right.
This is your chance to avoid the common pitfalls that you just don't think about without a solid financial planning background.
Right. I mean, you wouldn't fly a long-haul flight without a fuel plan, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you should know that. So why approach retirement that way? Because we're basically talking about kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
I talked to a guy, he's one of my peers, who has put money in all the right places, but had no idea that he was setting himself up for like a tax meltdown down the road. Smart guy. He just didn't have the right map.
Yeah, right. I mean, Uncle Sam has long fingers that reach way down into your pockets when you least expect it. Right?
Right.
So let the professionals at HSI do what they do best so you can keep flying safely into retirement.
Yeah. Don't be a moron. Call Robbie at 214-538-7030. That's 214-JET-7030.
Or email him, robert.walling@nm.com. That's robert.walling, WALLING, at novembermike.com. Look, don't wait until your final approach to start thinking about retirement. Do it now. Your future self will thank you.
Trust us. Don't be that guy.
Don't do it. Call Robbie. I think Fig got lost. He'll join us here in a minute, but oh, holy shit. I have not laughed this hard in a long time. I'm not sure I'll be able to breathe I'd love to get you and Vapor and Disco and Strut and Spiko and all you guys on at once, introduce you, and then just Fig and I just get out of the way.
That would be awesome. I mean, are we live right now? I mean, because I'm on a group,
we've been live the whole time, but
I'm on a group text with the 542 guys, so it is incredible. I'm on there with almost every surviving member: Rosie, Clance, Salt, Disco, Otto, Beeve, Rebel, Vapor, Mongoose, Spiko, Strut, Turbo,
Yeah, that's fantastic.
I
Yeah,
had,
show Otto was like our third show, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Rosie, I had Rosie. You know what? I'll tell you this offline. I don't want to say it online.
Okay.
Anyway, it would be an awesome show. And matter of fact, you guys, you need to go back and listen to Disco's show because he threw a bunch of you fuckers under the bus.
Oh yeah.
I did.
And there probably needs to be some rebuttals.
Well, that's why I picked on him for being in Fighter Wing and almost killing me. Yeah, and you know the people. Did we talk about People Magazine?
No,
Not
yet.
really. Just
Not
mention
yet.
it.
So I do want to. I do want to cover. I would do
Yeah.
want to cover that.
So People Magazine shows up and they want to do a bunch of pictures and do stories. So Mongoose is like, well, Pittsburgh and Disco are briefing. So they start taking pictures and, you know, all that shit happens. And then that evening, we go fly 2 combat missions, which they didn't really understand how real that was. And LZ was our public affairs officer. He got killed, which is another one of our pictures, his statue in Huntsville.
Oh, is that what that is? Okay. I didn't
Yeah.
realize who that was. Okay.
LZ.
Trey Wilborn.
Oh, Trey. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Woodburn. Yeah.
Yeah, we all went to the ceremony. We had 15 people there.
That's good.
I saw him the night he died. So Rosie and I were flying, and LZ was flying with Salt. Those guys went out, came back. We saw him in maintenance control. He just had 4 SAMs fired at him. I go out and do the napalm mission at Kuwait International. I almost get shot down. Come back. Those guys go out, and he gets whatever happens. He's gone. And then Rosie and I have to go out. We're the last mission that evening before the ground war starts, and we are getting locked up by ZSU 23-4s every time we poke our nose into the oil well fires. Which, by the way, you know, all the AAA, all the naval gunfires coming from the East Coast because the 5th MEP's fainting an amphibious assault, which we thought was real.
Yeah.
700 oil well fires are burning, and I keep getting locked by a ZSU 23-4, which is a gun stroke on your raw gear. I mean, that's no-go territory, man.
No go.
Yeah.
No go.
8,000
That'll ruin your day, huh?
Just a crazy, crazy night. So, yeah. Where were we on this? We're talking
People Magazine.
People
People Magazine. So, yeah, so when he died, they came back for the memorial service, which was just after the war ended, and they were just blown away. They were like, this isn't like the movie Top Gun, and people actually die out here? Anyway, so they're taking pictures, doing the article, and this is when I learned the part about whatever you say to the media is going to be bullshit. So they give us 2 hours to talk for an interview. Disco takes an hour and 55. I mean, he's up there. I was dancing when I was 9, and I was dancing in college, and you know, he's telling his whole fucking life story, you know. And I got 5 minutes, and I'm like, yeah, Disco doesn't like this combat. He's worried about his magic dust.
Yeah.
So I started getting letters from women in prison.
Oh yeah. Well, you guys were like celebrity status all of a sudden.
I didn't say half of that shit, except I said Disco's very concerned. You know, he was. I mean,
so they made up all that other shit. I mean, that wasn't your words. It was them. It was the writers.
I had 5 minutes, so whatever that I could have said in 5 minutes. Yeah, it was. I'm sitting there in
that's
the
funny.
soccer stadium, and I'm listening to tell his whole fucking life story. And Cheryl and this and that, and dancing, and my dog Otis, you know, licks his nasty doodads, and you know, I'm like, Jesus Christ, man!
You sound just like him.
I know you do an outstanding Disco imitation.
Oh man!
He would often compare me to his dog Otis. He's like, all you care about is how fast you go in a break when you got your last fight, eating and getting laid.
There's that.
Oh shit. Okay. All right. Well, you know, we knew going into this it was going to be a core workout. Thank you for not disappointing. Because I feel like I've done 600 crunches.
Oh, I haven't laughed
already.
this hard in weeks,
No,
months.
that's fucking great. All right. Did that cover Desert Storm? Holy shit. We're going to need 3 hours for this.
Well, this isn't funny, but the cast mission that Rosie and I did was pretty good.
Cast mission. Okay, let's talk about that. Yeah.
So in Desert Storm, I want to say, you know, I've heard different numbers thrown around, but I think 542 flew roughly 1,200 combat missions. And of those 1,200 combat missions, we dropped 2.2 million pounds of bombs. The average aircraft carrier dropped half that. because they were coming from the Red Sea, blah blah blah. We did some great work, but
Wow.
Of those 1,250 combat missions, how many do you think were actually doctrinal close air support missions?
Percentage wise or number wise?
Either way,
Doc, gosh, I don't know. 12. You said 1,250, so I don't know, maybe 50.
less than 10. No shit.
What?
Let's give you a 9-line. I got a 9-line here that I saved. I saved all my cards. So Rose and I launched, and we're carrying Mavericks, Rockeye, and the gun. And you would launch with like 400 waypoints, 400 freaks, and you never knew where the hell the DASC or the TAX was going to send you. So it's day one of the ground war, and we get a doctrinal CAS mission. I mean, I can read you the 9-line brief.
Yeah, read it.
I won't, but IP 82, heading 358 or 348 right, distance 6 miles, elevation 500, description, bunkers, coordinates is a laser mark. Friendlies are 2,300 meters south, egress east. So we're carrying Mavericks. And
So somebody's got to put a laser on it for you.
yeah, so I got the laser code of 1111, which is, I'm not sure why it wasn't 1688, but and we got a cone too, I think. But we're carrying Mavericks. Okay, AGM 65Es. The Harrier
Which for our listeners is an air to ground missile.
Yeah, it's a 500-pound laser guided missile, but the Harrier community had just been cleared to carry it. So we had no simulators. I'm not even sure we had a lot of book, TAC manual stuff. So, I'm playing with this thing, trying to figure it out, and then we get this 9-line. I'm leading the flight, and off we go. I get the lock. I think it's the correct look on the display, and I launch this thing, and it goes high, and I'm like, "Fuck, it's going stupid." And the FAC is losing his shit. His name is Poncho, I think. The guy gets his Silver Star. His Silver Star is in my OQR. So, long story short, it guides. And the guy on the radio is like, it just hit. I had the laser designator on the guy's helmet. It hits exactly where I was designated. So, Maverick, I think Rosie's Mavericks didn't work. So, there's a Maverick.
Hold on a second. Pisser. You're saying it came off and it was started climbing high. You thinking the thing went stupid, but it really didn't. It was
just doing its thing.
It was doing its thing. And it hit the dude that he was lasing, right? It hit the actual spot, right? The dude in the head.
They were taking mortar fire. First tank battalion was taking mortar fire. So, yeah, it hit, and he's freaking out on the radio. So we do it again, and then we do it again with Mark 20s, cluster bombs, ×2, and then we do it with the gun. And the gun run, we're coming in, and then we're coming in parallel to these troop trenches, and they're just lasing the spot. And I can actually see in my notes here, the Mavs were at 6,000 feet, 5 nautical mile, 5 degrees nose down, and then the gun was, I think, 15 degrees nose down. We're shooting the gun on a laser spot on troop trenches. So the PDA... Go ahead.
From what altitude?
I think it was 6,000 feet. I'm looking at my notes, which isn't great. But remember, nobody was going low then.
Yeah, yep.
But we have safe terrain where the Marines are. 5 bunkers destroyed, 2 MAVs, 500 rounds, mortars. So the long story short, I come off target. I'm feeling pretty good about supporting Marines. I do an AOR roll. First tank times online. And then, we go home. And I show up with no Mavericks. And I think only one other person actually fired Mavericks. Because, they showed up in, February. So what happens is the ground Marines write us up. And this citation goes from Mar4 PAC up across to Mar4 Land, and it shows up in our squadron in August of 91. And Rosie and I, we don't even know. That's the way an award should be written. This guy gets a Silver Star. He brought in some covers behind us. But our BDA is 300K.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah. I mean, I got it on my wall. I can send you a picture of it. but the award didn't show up. So Scratch Jones took over 542, and there was an awards board, and we're going to write up the best people. And who was the CG back then? It was kind of a hard ass. Who was it?
Blatt.
His son got killed in a hurry.
Yeah.
Oh, that was Rich Herney.
Blatt. Oh,
No.
Herney.
Yeah.
I was thinking
Herney.
Blatt. Yeah.
There's an awards board, and they write up the best awards. They go forward, and Herney shut a lot of them down. So this was after all that. This award shows up, and it's written. The award is approved by Marford Lant.
Was it air medal or was it DFC? What was it?
It was an interesting story because they're ground guys, so they didn't know. Can we turn this picture around?
I don't know.
No, not really. I don't think. No,
they
maybe you
didn't
can.
know.
There you go.
They didn't know, so they wrote
It's an air medal.
Well, they wrote
It's
it up.
an air medal with a Combat V.
They wrote it up without the Combat V
Okay.
because they didn't know. But it's a cool word. It came down from General Keyes. It was at the time Marford Lant. The way an award should show up, it just arrived. Yeah, Rose and I did some good work that day. There just weren't that many doctoral cast missions. I think Clance did one in Kofji. And I don't think very many people were able to get their Mavericks off because you needed a laser. I mean, it was absolute chaos, 2 Marine divisions, all that shit. All in the area about the size.
Yeah.
Not bigger, much bigger than maybe CAX. Anyway. Yeah, that was a good mission. The guy on the radio was pretty pumped up. And his Silver Star write-up is in my OQR. So,
Very nice.
yeah.
All right, I'm looking at. So we talked about the workups. 24th MU with HMM 263 call sign. So that was the story that you told earlier about the 150 officers from every damn MOS in the hydraulic display, right?
Yeah, and I mean there was no issue after that. Everything was great.
Right.
You
So you
think
can call
about
that really winning hearts and minds right there, bro.
Right.
I mean, think about it. 6 jets and 10 Harrier pods show up in a Mew. I mean, you're the bastard at the family picnic. Everybody's like,
Yeah,
fucking
every
jet.
time. Every time.
They fucking, that was it. We were great friends after that.
Fantastic.
What's the so you talked about the FAC-A program. FAC-A program. You and who else wrote the book?
So I worked closely with a guy named Brian Brewer, who's in that picture. Brew.
Yes.
Pretty famous guy. I think he won an award like Pilot of the Year in the Navy. Yeah, I mean those guys went off, and I think he guided 400 missiles off his airplane. Through his. I think they used Lantern pods in Kosovo, and then the early days of Afghanistan were FAC-As. That we trained in Mountain, Nevada.
Okay, well, that's badass.
That
No,
is.
it's phenomenal.
Yeah, that's doctrinal.
Yeah.
That's huge.
And I also created or helped work with the SEALs because the SEALs were not very good on the radio when it came to close air support. What I call the white SEALs, non-SEAL Team 6 guys. So we built a FAC program for those guys. And I was pretty famous to those guys. I did a low flyby one night at Bravo 19 in Fallon. I was doing dive recovery rules, squared the corner and afterburner. I saw the numbers get really small. They were up in an outcropping, and I put 30 SEALs on the ground. I didn't know. So I come into the debrief. It's like 12:30 in the morning, and these guys are all standing there shaking my hand. I'm like, "You guys good?" And they're like, "Holy shit, what a flyby!" I'm like, "Yeah, I kind of almost killed myself." I didn't know. I was doing dive recovery numbers and I wasn't on the goggles, so I just squared the corner. I saw the numbers go really low, and I was like in full afterburner, lights out, of course. Yeah.
Oh,
Hey,
man.
would you pretty please define dive recovery rules? I mean, we all know what you're talking about, but for the people that really don't understand it, could you just, because this is good.
How not to work
what does that
yourself.
mean, dive recovery rules?
Yeah, it's checkpoints. So it's just going to keep you safe. A certain angle, a certain altitude, then a certain angle, a certain altitude, so you don't hit the ground. But doing it at night on the goggles, or not on the goggles, with a little bit of high terrain, might not be recommended.
Yeah. Yes. And so let me expand on that just a little bit. It was a way to get from up here back down low really, really fast in a controlled way, right? Without putting yourself in the dirt.
Exactly.
Yeah. So for instance, when you were at 30 degrees nose down and you saw a certain altitude, you hit 4Gs, and then when you were at this altitude, you should be, at 20 degrees, you should be at this altitude, and so on and so forth. So you get back down to 200 feet or 300 feet or 100 feet, whatever you were aiming for, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Holy shit.
At night, no goggles. What the fuck is wrong
right?
with you?
No Nikes. What the hell? So what tiny number did you see?
I think I saw single digits.
Oh my god!
I mean, because
He did say he was single at the time. You were single when all this was going down, right?
Probably, yeah. I got married when I was in Fallon, but
Lord.
all I know is when you got 30 seals that hit the deck,
Yeah, that's saying something.
you got to be low.
You've impressed them.
I was somewhat famous with those guys because I worked with them for 3 years.
Fantastic.
I mean,
What is Pistol? What is 3 hops one day?
I think it's the coolest day. So I think Cruiser was leading a deployment of MAG. The Cherry Point MAG was coming to Fallon. And I was still in the window where I could fly the Harrier. If I flew to Yuma, did the open and closed book NATOP test, and did a simulator. So I did that. And then I flew an F-18 flight in the morning and flew 2 Harrier hops in the afternoon. Pretty cool
that's
day.
Badass. That's badass.
One of those are, the ergonomics in the cockpit, one of those, I pulled the radio off one because the radio on the upfront control in the F-18 and Harrier, one is you push and one is you pull.
Yeah.
I know I pulled something off. I think it was in the Harrier.
Yeah, whoops.
Yeah.
I wonder how many people can say that. I wonder how many people that are walking around right now can say, "Yeah, I flew a Hornet on one sortie and then 2 sorties in the Harrier."
I'd be shocked if there's anyone else who's done both airplanes.
Pisser, who else can say that?
Maybe Turbo. Turbo might have done some of that. Turbo and he came and got current when he was at Pax River in the F-18 at Andrews, and we did a little, pseudo 1v1. Maybe Turbo. I mean, there's not a lot of guys that did, have 1,000 hours in the Harrier and 2,000 hours in the F-18 that was all tactical.
Yeah.
Blue Angels. Blue Angels maybe get the hours, but not the tactical hours.
So
I was proud of that.
Yeah, that's pretty badass.
So you were talking about low passes before, so I wound up getting it queued up, and Styx actually has it queued up for our YouTube feed as well. But I'm going to do a quick video share here.
What are you?
And just
what
watch this, Fig. Just watch. Just watch.
Does Fig
I don't know if Fig knows this one or not. So here comes a quick video I'm going to play, and people, you can search on YouTube for TCU, that's Tango Charlie Uniform versus Navy Flyby. Here it comes.
Okay. What? What?
Yeah.
Is the hook down?
Oh, yeah.
Are you shitting me?
And he is, he's 500 feet, right?
Oh, yeah.
100,000 feet from something.
100% every time, all day, every day. Oh, you got to be shitting me. So tell me, first of all, who did you have to stand in front of after that got out on the interwebs?
Not really anybody, but I'm going to refer to Ward Carroll, call sign Mooch. You guys have had him on here, right?
Yep. We've had Mooch on.
Yeah.
Fig, do you remember his video?
Don't off the top of my head. Now I feel stupid.
Well, help me out.
Yeah.
Because
Ward Carroll, call sign Mooch. I thought you guys had him on here.
We did. We've had him on.
So if you watch his video, I really thought, I know Ward. I thought he would actually QA his own stuff, but he's
the one that was talking about you getting your wings pulled for that.
Yeah, he said, I was flying an F-18C. It was an A. He said I held over the Severn River. You can't hold over the Severn River, do a flyby at the Naval Academy. You come in backwards. He said I was grounded. Then he retracted that and said I was grounded for a little while. He said I quietly retired. So I did quietly retire 16 fucking years later. he might want to QA his shit. As a colonel, that flyby was in 2000, and my last flight in the F-18 was in 2008. So I did continue to fly. I didn't really get in much trouble. The superintendent looked at the senior Marine and said, "Good flyby. He's not in trouble."
Fantastic.
What? Who could complain about that? Well, so that first video I saw was like taken from like a suite.
It's from the boxes, yeah. I went along.
It looked like I could read the serial number on the bottom of the tail hook when it went by. That was pretty fucking badass.
I was off by a zero. 1,000 versus 100 feet.
All right. Well, badass. First of all, single ship. Was it single ship? Because I didn't see a -2 anywhere.
So it was the end of September. It was 2000, and we're out of money for reservists. The active duty guys didn't want to fly on a Saturday, so it was my 7th. It wasn't my final flyby, by the way. I'll send you a picture of my final flyby. But
it wasn't. Repeat. It wasn't his final flyby.
No.
It was.
So that means there's got to be a more spectacular one out there somewhere.
Well, there's that, right? But,
it's actually a pretty good flyby. I'm looking at a picture of it right now.
I'm going to share it again, just, for those wanting to see.
This is my final flyby, if you can see it up there.
Well, hang on. I'm sharing the video right now again, just because I can. It
so that was the LSU Navy game, right?
TCU.
Oh, sorry, TSU. TCU Navy game. God damn it. The tequila's taking over.
Your dyslexia is acting up, Fig.
It is. It's tequila driven. Good Lord.
There's my last flyby, which is a different story.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Where?
Hang on. I gotta stop sharing. There you go.
Stop sharing. Okay. Oh, shit. Okay, it's a little blurry. I see a flight of 4 there, it looks like.
Yeah, so that was indoctrination day at the Naval Academy, and that happened after. So I come to work, and we're fragged to do a flyby for indoctrination day at the Naval Academy, and these guys are like, we don't know. It's complicated to do these, by the way. Ward Carroll said you held over the Severn River. You actually hold over Kent Island, I think it is. There's some VFR altitudes. There's a Baltimore approach. So they're like, we don't know what to do. The site commander was gone. So I said, okay, I'll lead it. And I actually have to do a radar map.
Okay, I'll do it.
But I actually do a radar map of the seawall, and I bring these guys through the weather. And we're actually hooks down in that picture. And I only break out at the last second, have to do a course correction down Stribling Walk at the Naval Academy. And so the site commander comes back, Kermit Grin. He comes back to work after being on vacation for a week. He's like, Pisser, can you come see me? He's like, did we do a flyby at Naval Academy last week? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we did.
Were you in the flyby? Yes,
yes
sir.
Sir, I was.
Did you lead the flyby? Yes, sir. God damn it, I told you no more.
Oh, all right.
Oh, you were serious about that?
Hold on a second. I want to come back up about 30 seconds because you said some shit, and I want to make sure that our listeners understand how I want to say impressive because it is impressive. So you were in the weather. You used the radar to lock up a known point, seawall, to get down below the weather so that you could conduct this flyby so that they could actually see you come by because it must have been kind of shitty. How low did you have to go to get under the weather?
I'm going to say 1,003. I'm kidding.
Absolutely. It's 1,003.
But maybe 800.
Oh, man.
Okay. See, this is impressive. Thank you.
1,000 inches and 3 meters.
Listen, before things get too far out of hand, I just want to say thank you for your service, sir.
Oh, indeed.
And God bless America. That's it. Okay. So what have we not talked about that we probably should talk about? 1v1v1. What is this? This is 321. Is this 321? Is this the Marine Reserve Squadron at Andrews?
Yeah, so everybody in that squadron, was almost everybody was a patchwork. A lot of them were WTI top-down combo. The talent level there was off the charts, which is why I ACTI'd. But one of the things that we would do, so this current CG of Second Mile is a guy named Bill Swanee. Swanee spent 5 years at that squadron because he had a son born with special needs. Need a lot of surgery. So Swanee and I, a guy named Bug, ran that squadron. So when the reservists weren't there, we would go out into the Pac server airspace and we'd fly a 1v1v1, and you put 3 airplanes line abreast, a mile apart, and there are rules, certain turns or certain shots were certain points, and we would fight to a point where one guy had to kill or move, he'd kill or move, but the other two would continue to fight until they heard a MIG alert, and then they'd go to a 2v1 stat, and we would burn an entire bag of gas in the F-18 in 20 minutes. Then we'd go into wallop.
Because you were never at a burner?
Yeah, never had a burner. It was fucking awesome. Then we go into wallops, grab the follow me truck, go to Chincoteague, get breakfast.
Wait, stop. Time out. You said you'd been going to where?
NASA wallops on the east side of the Pax River airspace.
Okay.
Where they run the ponies. We would drive the follow me truck to breakfast. Then we'd do it again. Then we would do it again and go back to Andrews, and we'd be back at our chairs, our desks running, because we ran the place by, before lunch. And we did that so many times. We didn't even break. It was air-to-air attack and rolls and just fucking just a blast. And Swanee's the CG of SECMA now, so I sent him a text because the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Raisin Canyon, is a good friend of ours. And I go, hey, Swanee, you need to get the chairman a VSTOL flight to the ship. And Swanee said, no, 1v1v1, bag of gas in 20 minutes. That was the answer.
Right. Why not?
It was
the out of the airplane after that.
It was the coolest thing, and we did it all the time. I mean, you want to talk about fostering art of tactical decision making, a fucking 0.4 1v1v1, times 3. And then we go back and run the squadron. Because, I was the XO at the time. It was a blast. That talent level, that 321 crowd was as good as anybody I've ever been with. Everybody was some kind of patch wearer.
All right. Can you define patch wearer for our listeners that really don't have a clue what you're talking about?
Top Gun or weapons school. Top Gun or WTI for the Marine Corps.
Okay. So Top Gun, I think everybody's familiar with, and weapons school, that's the MOTS. And can you,
they're all the same thing. They're all the weapons school.
It's a doctorate level.
How to deploy your weapon.
How do you deploy your weapons in your weapons system, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And that's awesome. With that, when you were in 321, were you full-time reservist, full-time active duty guy? Were you a traditional reservist? What status were you in?
Predominantly, I was active reserve on a leave of absence.
Okay. So, because you said you were there all the time, you were running the place. So for the reserve, you're the full-time active reservist guy. Art.
Yeah. I got there in '97. I started active reserve in '98 until January 2004. So almost 6 years.
Well, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, very cool.
Well, yeah, because the Marine Corps didn't have any reserve Harrier units, so it's awesome that you had that F-18 stink on you and you could do that. That's awesome.
Well, nobody
really
liked
awesome.
I mean, the Harrier guys called me a traitor. The Hornet guys called me a Harrier guy.
Well, of course. Well, you're a much better pilot than the normal F-18 guys because you had to learn how to actually fly an airplane before you went to the Hornet.
If you could fight a Harrier, and then you add afterburner to that equation, you can fight a Hornet. I mean,
yeah, right. Easy, piece of cake. Wow. How long have we been talking, Repeat? Hour and a half. Good Lord.
Yeah, we need to have you back. We need to probably start landing the airplane and then have you back. But
yeah, well, we need to have the 1v1v1v1v1v1 with all the 542 Bubbas. Are we missing anything, Pisser? Is there anything we need to cover before we land the jet?
I think we're good. We talked about being the battle director, I think.
No, we didn't.
No.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So
let's do that and wind it up with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Was that out of Qatar? Out of the
it was an LED, and I got
a kayak.
Yeah, it was a kayak, and it was when ISIS rolled, and it required every skill set that I've ever had. You need to know every airframe, every weapon system. You need to understand the theater level of war. You had to lead a team of people that were, before I got there were people committing suicide. It was
What?
it's a tough place, LUD. I mean, I was there in summer. The heat index would bottom
Hey,
out at 115.
when exactly were you at LUD?
In 2014, when ISIS rolled.
Because I was there. I was there in 2015. So I just missed you.
Oh no shit! I was upstairs. I was a battle junkie.
I was flying C-130s in the Guard.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you know where the kayak was?
Yeah. Actually, Sinbad, my buddy Steve Sinner, was in the kayak as the what the hell was he doing? He was Marine 06 doing. He wasn't the battle director, but he was.
Oh, he was the Marlow.
Yes, he was the Marlow. Yes.
Yeah. So Marlow was just outside the battle. Yeah, Sinbad was in the unit I was in Great Lakes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was. So the Marlow would come in. And he's like, "Piston, why are you so stressed?" I'm like, "Dude, it's fucking chaos out there."
So talk about this.
Yeah,
You
explain why that is. I don't think
people were committing suicide.
I don't
and
have
shit?
a clue as to what that does.
Yeah, tell our listeners. Give us some details.
Well, from the suicide thing, it's just a tough place to live.
Why? Tell them why. Why is it tough?
It's like being on the moon.
Only hotter.
But
it's hot as fuck.
The combat stuff that I was going through was ISIS was rolling. The entire Iraqi military, half of it dissolved in one weekend. They were just murdering people left and right, cutting girls' heads off. It was it was the face of the
chaos.
devil. And as a battle director, you had to be completely dialed into all that. I was connected at the national security level to the White House, making decisions that were, I put the first Marines back in to reinforce the embassy, put the SEALs in to reinforce the airport, put the first drone. That all happened one morning. And there's a whole nother story.
One morning.
Of what we were doing. But it was crazy. Thank God I was on a shift, because the people that weren't on shifts were. But the kayak is considered a weapon system, and I agree that it is. And it was damn near inverted, pulling into the ground.
Wow.
It was crazy because we had nothing in Iraq when ISIS rolled.
Can you just describe for our listeners what the kayak is and what it looked like? Because I know, but I want you to do that. Can you do that?
So it's a $300 million building, combined airspace and operations center. It runs the air war from Pakistan to Egypt, and it looks like a wraparound IMAX theater. And I worked
big concrete.
I worked up in the battle cab, which is like being up where the movie is projected. And we ran, if I needed somebody, sometimes I'd laser them, or a laser pointer,
get their attention.
And when I went to work, the first people I talked to were the space people. I wanted to know where the picture of OPIR, overhead persistent infrared, so where the FIBA, Marine Corps term FIBA, I need to know where the FIBA was, because if we lose Baghdad International Airport, we are fucked.
Yeah.
FIBA. Can you define FIBA for our listeners?
Forward edge of the battle area. Or FLOT.
Yeah.
Forward line of... So, because the ISIS guys were so close to taking the airport. If they take the airport, we no longer have a NEO option. We got 2,000 Americans in Baghdad, and they're fucked.
Yeah, it's going to be a shit show. It's going to be a bloodbath if that happens.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. And who did you report to? Who were you talking to?
So my job as a battle director, I work for CENTAF. So General Hesterman was Central Command Air Force, CENTAF, who reported to CENTCOM in Tampa.
Okay.
It was, at the time, General Austin, who maybe was...
And so you're in this capacity. You're a Marine Colonel. You're USMCR, correct? On active duty orders?
Yeah, I'm mobilized.
Yeah, you are a airline pilot in your civilian world, but you're doing this as a reservist.
Right. In the morning that I sent the Marines, the SEALs, and the first drone in, with the deputy CFAC 2-star General Lofgren was like, "Pisser, brief me on what you did this morning." I'm like, "You're either going to thank me or, fire me." And he's like, "Keep doing what you're doing." But But the temporary KF commander was a brand new 06 Air Force Academy F-15 pilot. So when you combine all that, you got an anger man, short man complex. And he just looks at me and goes, I already been in 06 for 6 years.
Right.
He goes, let me get this right. We got a pilot that just did all this shit. You know, I'm like, fuck you, Taz, you little piece of shit.
Right. Right. Because you brought a breadth of experience. And
understanding.
This person you're dealing with is probably not very experienced.
Yeah, he's a baby 06, F-15 guy and short. So
yes. Yeah, that's the beauty of the Marine Corps.
Right.
God bless the United States Marine Corps, and God bless the United States of America. And God bless you, Pisser.
Indeed.
You crazy bastard. Wow.
Right.
What do you think, Repeat?
Oh,
Hour 33 minutes into this thing.
Yeah, we got to
Should we
wrap
land
it
the
up.
plane?
Got to land.
Let's land the plane.
We're going to have you back soon and get the rest of that gang.
I want to get the 1v1v1v1v1 with all the 542 guys, because I just want to throw the grenade. I'm going to pull the pin, drop the grenade, and just
that's going to be utter
back,
chaos.
Sit
It's
back and
so
watch.
much fun.
I know.
I mean, our group chat, it's all Disco, Vapor, Spyco, and Mongoose. They generate all the humor. And Mongoose is like 80, just fucking hilarious, man.
Mongoose.
Oh, shit.
I haven't
He's
seen
80?
that dude. I haven't seen Mongoose since Cherry Point.
Yeah.
So
35 years ago. Yeah.
I've had a beer with Vapor. I see Pisser from time to time, and so I want to tell you offline about Rosie.
Yeah. There you go.
But hey, I would really be entertained by getting all you guys on at once and just letting it go. Maybe ask a question and let it go.
There you go.
And see where it goes.
That would be a blast.
It would be a
right.
blast.
Well, let me say this to Lindy. First of all, as Fig already said it, but God bless you. Thank you for your service. The country's a better place for you having been here and given what you've given to it. Thank you. Thank you to all our veterans and their families who sacrifice so much every day and keep us safe. And they're out there on the bleeding edge. We are deeply appreciative. Who else, Fig?
Well, we need to say thanks to Sadie and Dave at Backbeat Media for helping us get all this online, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
They gave us the know-how, the bandwidth, the know-how, and several things I can't even pronounce.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Then there's Sticks and Bago. They're fighting. Speaking of pisser, they're pissing up a rope trying to deal with our growing pains. But I have seen that Sticks has put up some things on our YouTube feed tonight. We're deeply appreciative of that. All the support that Sticks and Bago have given to us over the years, it's been invaluable, and they allow us to pay more attention to the show. And that hurts me. I've been messing with that so much. I feel like I'm disconnected half the time. It sucks.
We're using a new platform, Pisser, and it's not our producers aren't in the background putting all the pictures up, and it's really awesome. Well, so we got some growing pains going on, but we need to also say thank you to Badass at BDS Aviation, Brad Silcott.
Yeah, BDS for the aviation photography.com.
BDSaviationphotography.com. Sorry. Yeah. Tequila's kicking in here,
there
boys.
You go. It's what it is, man.
Yeah.
He's an artiste.
No, he truly is.
Yeah, he's an absolute artiste.
To say he's a photographer is an insult, because that's not it.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
The band's here.
So that's the sound of the Dos Gringos, which are two F-16 pilots, former F-16 pilots that make the Air Force sound good, always did.
Right.
4 albums, not a bad song. And by the way, June 7th, they're going to be in concert in Denver to raise money to bring an F-16 to the museum there.
Wings Over the Rockies?
Wings Over the Rockies.
Yeah.
A couple of guys I know are going to be there.
Yeah.
And
Repeat are going to be there. Come say hi.
Hope we get, we're going to do a little. So there I was with them.
We're going to try and get a live roundtable with those gents. That'll be wild. All right.
Hey, there's merch.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for you, Pister. Not that I wouldn't like to see you in a bikini, but we do have a So There I Was bikini at sothereiwas.us/merch. Bikinis, shot glasses, towels, man thong. Hey, we need a man thong.
No, we don't.
I could rock.
No,
a
we
man
don't.
thong. Yeah, we do. Anyway, if it's made, it's there.
Yeah.
And flasks, beer mugs, coffee mug, whatever.
There you go.
Get your So There I Was merch.
Exactly.
So thereiwas.us/merch.
Then they'll go out there and go to the sothereiwas.us/rates. Give us a 5-star rating. Count them 5. Not
If
4.
you can't give us 5, tell us why.
Yeah.
What we could do to make it 5, because we're trainable
Yeah.
for the most part.
Go find another show. Give them less than 5. Leave us alone.
Yeah.
But we've gotten some good feedback. We appreciate the feedback. We're always willing to learn and try and do better. So we're deeply appreciative of that. All right. Well, I think until next week. Oh, and the way you do give us that feedback is repeat at sothereiwas.us or fig at sothereiwas.us unless you want a real answer. Then it's
If it's a question, you need to hit sticks at sothereiwas.us or bago.
There you go.
At sothereiwas.us.
so. Any advice until next week, Fig?
Don't sit on the ejection seat handle.
Don't do it.
Well, there I was, crossing the pond, and you could see that I wasn't exactly fond of all the shit I was wearing on that day. Now an F-16 is cramped enough, but it's even worse with all that stuff supposed to save your life. But we knew there was no way. 'Cause when you're going down in the North Atlantic, man, it's over.
In the North Atlantic, it's what?
He said it's over.
Well, Dick, here's the deal. I'm the best there is, plain and simple. I mean, I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence.
We're out.
He pisses excellent.
So do I. I'm still
That's why that's there. Oh
That's
my
in honor
gosh.
of you, pisser.